dating challenges in your 30s. And this doesn't have to be in your 30s. You can be any age and experience these dating challenges. However, I do feel that there is a turning point that happens in your 30s, when you hit your 30s and beyond, that makes dating a lot more challenging than it is in your 20s, okay? So I wanted to do this video as a way to help you if you're someone who is dating, just starting to date or thinking about dating. And, you know, especially if you're in your 30s or beyond, then I wanted to do this video just to really prepare you for the landscape ahead, right? For what could be challenges in the way, or why you may find it difficult, much more difficult than you thought it would be. Especially if you've dated in your 20s and you didn't experience this kind of thing before. The other thing is, if you have never dated at all before, then you also want to just be prepared for what's to come, okay? Right off the bat, the negative noise surrounding dating really starts to ramp up once you hit your 30s, right? You will notice all the negativity, all the complaining, all the nightmare stories starts to really be like come out and starts to be very loud once you're in your 30s and beyond, right? I think in your 20s, it's much more quiet because a lot of people are more naive, a lot more hopeful about love, a lot more open to dating, online dating and so on. So there's not as much negativity there, all right? But I just want you to know that the reason it's louder in your 30s is because people who are in happy relationships, they are quiet, right? They're not gonna be like going on and on to their friends about how happy they are in their relationship and how amazing their partner is. They're just not gonna do that, right? Most people who are happy in their relationship have really nothing to talk about. Like, I'm happy in my relationship. When I talk to my friends and family, I'm just kind of like, well, nothing much is going on here. What else is new? What's the goss? Is someone else having some dramas? Because, like, nothing's happening here, right? We're just kind of like, I think people in happy relationships, it's just very drama-free and we're just okay. Everything's good. So there's nothing to talk about, really. That's why we're quiet. All the happy people are gonna be quiet, okay? Also, it just feels a bit weird to be on and on about how happy you are with your friends, right? It's something, I don't think it's really embedded in society that we like celebrate ourselves in general, which is a shame. It's a shame, but this is, you know, how it is. But most people will go on and on and on about their problems and their complaints and then vent about their issues. They will go on and on about that, okay? So that's why the noise is a lot louder there. And that's why you just have to be really aware that you're not exactly stepping into an unbiased space, okay? You're gonna get much more negativity bombarded at you, and if you're not aware of it, you may start to talk like them, right? Without realizing, you'll start to talk like that, sound like that, start to like be negative too, just kind of to fit into the crowd, right? Fit in with the noise. And psychologically, that's not gonna really help, especially if your goal is to be in a happy relationship. Because again, happy people in happy relationships aren't complaining about their relationships. In fact, they're not talking about their relationships at all most of the time. They're talking about something else. You just gotta know that, okay? So now with that said, I do want to address some of the very common things that are said. So women will often complain and say, you know, like, why is dating so much harder in my 30s? Why are men never want to commit? Why don't anyone want to take it seriously? Why are men so quick to disappear, so quick to judge? Why don't men put any effort in anymore? Right? Like, why do men have so much issues and baggage and this and that? Right? So here's just some of the reasons why and what's going on. Okay, so first of all, there's this common thing that like is said, which I don't like, but it is very common. And that is that all the good ones are taken and only the dreads are left over, right? The losers or the bad ones are left over in society, the leftovers in society. And if you just look around, that is clearly not true. There are plenty of people in shitty relationships. There are plenty of shitty people, let's just say immature people, right? Who, don't know how to control themselves, have a lot of issues in relationships. Okay? So it's not true all the good ones are taken. There are good ones in relationships and then there are bad ones in relationships. That's closer to the truth. So if that is true, then it's also true that there are good ones who are single and there are bad ones, who are also single. Okay, maybe there are good and bad all across the board. The other thing is there's a lot of people who have learned lessons in their 20s from their relationships that they are now exercising in their 30s, which is just the wise thing to do, right? We want to learn from our mistakes and then not to do them in our 30s going forward. Okay, so we have a list of what we want, our non-negotiables, and what we would like, and also the red flags, right, what we don't want. So everyone has this list. Okay, so now everybody's standards have gone up, and this is everyone. This is not just you with the list. Everybody you meet will have a list too. This is why people appear to be pickier, why men seem to run faster. And this is why a lot of relationships will end around the 3 months mark or just before that. Because 3 months is typically when, if we were to keep investing, that's when we're really getting attached. We're really we know it'll be harder to break up if it's going beyond 3 months, but it's a little bit easier before that. Okay, so that's when everybody kind of runs away. Now you have everybody walking around with their checklist, with their clipboard, with a list of criterias and judging everyone. And you are probably going to feel the effect of that judgment. You're going to feel a judge too. Yes, you've got your clipboard and your notebook, but then you're also being judged by the other person's clipboard and notebook. Okay, so everybody feels this pressure now to perform, like they're on probation, right? Like we're going for some job interview, which of course makes dating extremely stressful. Like not fun at all, which is a very different experience to dating your 20s. Now, if you do happen to meet someone who meets all of your criterias, checks all the boxes, now the stakes get really high. It starts to feel really high. Now the pressure's on that you need to perform and to get him, right? Because you're probably thinking, well, it's really rare that I meet a man who checks all my boxes. So because he is rare and there's so few of him, that scarcity thinking coming in, now I really have to make sure I do everything right. Okay, now can you feel the pressure building? Now it's like, oh my God, I have to do everything correctly. I can't say the wrong thing. And you start overthinking everything. You start to watch a lot of YouTube videos on the right thing to do and then to avoid the wrong thing. Putting a lot of work into yourself. It just starts to be a lot of work, right? And then, of course, men also have much higher standards now in their 30s. Now they are not going to be quick to settle with anybody. Now they're going to exercise their options. They're going to be dating you and dating other people. Okay, so now you really feel the pressure. Right now, if he doesn't get back to you quick enough, he's probably talking to someone else. And if he rejects you, he says thanks but no thanks. There's a big part of you that is I mustn't be good enough then. Compared to all the other women he's talking to, I didn't quite meet his standards, his criteria, right? And then we get into this feeling of shame, we're not good enough, and feeling really down about ourselves, which just makes us feel even more hopeless, right? About the whole situation. Make us not want to date, hate dating, feel frustrated. Then there are society's pressure that puts on us In particular, for one group of people who have never been married before, never had kids before, and would like to, there are extra pressure put on that person because society looks down on the person who's never been married and never had kids. Okay, now there is pressure to, especially in your 30s, right, to get married, to have kids. And then there's the biological clock ticking. Oh, I gotta have kids before a certain time period because my chances to have kids gets less and less and less, right? Like that's kind of the facts. And we freak out about that. We put all this pressure on ourselves, okay, which has the opposite effect, which has us taking longer to get what we want. Not only do we need to find someone whose values and goals align with ours, okay, because we have values and goals, right? But now our traumas also need to line up. Okay, so if you have ever dated someone and they appeared amazing in the beginning, and then all of a sudden they did something that reminded you of your ex, okay, and then just put you off immediately. Okay, then you will know what I'm talking about. This is where, right, like everybody has traumas and baggage from the past. But now, because of the trauma and the baggage, simple things, normal everyday things now has a backstory behind it. It's now triggering some kind of trauma for someone. This is why men will suddenly disappear. Because you probably did something, reminded him of his ex, and he was like, hell no, I'm not going there. That's it, turn me off that person forever. And they just bailed, especially early in dating. That's very, very common. This is what I mean about your traumas need to line up. It's kind of luck that within the first 3 months of dating that you don't trigger their traumas in some way that will make them disappear. So even though it seems like a lot of challenges, I want you to know the solution actually is very simple. If you simply drop into compassion, into realizing we're all in the same boat, in the same place, right? We're all human, we all have traumas, we're all doing the best we can, and we just soften around that a little bit, that energy, that just softening and being a little bit more optimistic, a little bit more hopeful, a little bit more compassionate will go a long way, okay? Now, Ali Wong actually covered this in her latest comedy show. It was this idea that one woman's trash could be another woman's treasure, right? Now, you have to consider there are men coming on the market right now who are getting divorced, having a breakup, okay? Because their ex has only really experienced them and therefore didn't really fully appreciate that man. So not everybody that's becoming single has something wrong with them. Like that's just not true at all, right? It has to do with the partner they're with and maybe not appreciating them. So this is something I definitely experienced with my husband. Okay, my husband, when he became single, his ex, she had only experienced a relationship with him. So she had only had good relationships, one good relationship with a good man. She didn't really, in my opinion, she didn't really appreciate that because she didn't have another relationship to compare it with, that contrast compare it with. So she thankfully let him back in the pool. I immediately saw the value in him, spotted him as gold and snatched him up, right? Because I had other relationships that weren't very good. And by contrast, he seemed amazing by contrast. Okay, and I snatched him up because I was like coming from a place of like compassion, knowing that he's gonna have trauma, but I have too, we're humans, right? But that was enough for me to show this, come across like I was appreciative, right? Like that energy I had was appreciation rather than negativity, which is huge in dating. That little bit of spark and positivity is huge, okay? So I want you to consider like there's lots of men like that actually coming on the market. So I actually think if you've only had one good relationship your entire life, that's actually not necessarily a good thing, okay? Because you may not appreciate that guy and you would just like let that guy go and then experience what is really like out there, which may not live up to that expectation that you have. Okay, versus someone who's only had bad relationships. So then as soon as they get a good guy, they know like how to appreciate him. Okay, it's a huge difference. I say this to give you some perspective, and that dating doesn't need to feel so heavy. It doesn't need to feel like so much pressure, like you're on probation or something. Okay, if you just consider that we're all human trying to do the best we can, we all have trauma, we all have baggage, and we have a checklist for a reason coming off of the back of some trauma, and know that someone else's value, goals, and trauma will match up with you. Okay, you will find someone like that, someone you can really appreciate like that. Now, if you would like some professional help about your love life, on attracting, keeping great men, and you would like to invest in a coach, then you may want to check out the link in my description where you can book a free call with me. Okay, that's all from me, and I will see you next time.